Holiday World has unveiled a new attraction for next year. More on that. Plus, Laura Limp and Morgan Small joined me for the final part of my interview about the American Red Cross, and Patty Ozer and Jamie Horton are tonight's guests on Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Well, Holiday World is set to make more history coming up next year. Last night, the park unveiled plans for its first major steel roller coaster. The coaster, named Thunderbird, will be the first launched wing coaster in the United States and will feature 2 trains, each with 5 cars that hold 4 people per car. Thunderbird will launch from 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. The coaster will turn over multiple times, including a 14-story tall Immelman loop, a 0G roll, a barrel roll, and a loop that goes 125 feet into the air. The new coaster also features some rapid-fire near-miss areas as a surprise for the riders. Some of those will include keyholes, themed elements, and even the ground, among others. Now, Holiday World is investing $22 million in the new coaster, more than twice the amount of any other single-ride investment in park history. The coaster is being designed by Swiss-based firm B&M. Thunderbird will also be historic for that firm, as it will be their first launched coaster. Even with the new coaster, Park President Matt Eckert says Holiday World still has 90 acres of land that could be developed in the future. Thus, he says Thunderbird may only be the beginning of greater things for the park.
With $22 million, that's going to be the biggest investment we've ever made. But we always like to outdo ourselves. We never like to rest on our laurels, and we always want to try to make sure that we do something better than we've done in the past. And we thought we had done that with the Voyage and the Mammoth, and I think our guests thought we had done that with the Voyage and the Mammoth. Guess what? We're not done yet.
Will Cook had dreamed of having a steel roller coaster at the park for several years prior to his death in 2010. Fourth-generation owners Lauren and Leah Cook took part in last night's announcement. Leah Cook says Thunderbird is the fulfillment of her father's dream.
My dad had been dreaming of a steel coaster. In fact, one of my Hollow blog posts talks about how he kind of promised me one for my high school graduation. It was just a general somewhere in 09 or 10, but I decided it was my graduation present. And so it was so exciting when we finally got to build this. We're so excited. I know my dad would be so proud.
Construction of Thunderbird got underway back in March. The ride is scheduled to open at the end of April of next year, as the park will be opening 1 week earlier than usual. You can view the progress of the construction on the park's construction cam at holidayworld2015.com. Once it begins operations next year, Thunderbird will be able to hold more than 1,100 guests per hour with a top speed of 60 miles per hour. The ride time from station to station, 1 minute, 18 seconds. The city of Huntingburg is continuing to discuss changes to its animal control ordinance. Last night, the Huntingburg City Council read a draft of that new ordinance. It would cover pot-bellied pigs and other animals not covered in the current ordinance. The issue stems from a citizen request to keep a pot-bellied pig as a pet. That citizen came before the council last month to make their request. Huntingburg Mayor Denny Spenner says the draft ordinance was well put together. He says there is still more to be done, however.
So after discussion from the council this evening, we wanted further review of the ordinance, as it is very, very detailed. Wanted to be able to see that this was an ordinance that was appropriate for the city, that was something that could be adequately enforced and fairly enforced. So after suggestions from the council, the issues were the ordinance is going to be additional draft made with those suggestions in, and then our next meeting on August the 12th, we'll be considering that ordinance for introduction at that time.
Some of the requirements for pot-bellied pigs would be weight and height limits, keeping the animal restrained at times, including inside of a fence, and annual vaccination and registration, among others. Also, the pig would have to be able to live indoors at times. The owners would be responsible for picking up after the animal, along with ensuring a healthy living environment. The pig in question is mostly kept indoors, though it is in a fenced-in yard when it's kept outside. Pot-bellied pigs are not known to be aggressive animals when they are approached by humans. Finally this evening, the investigations into a pair of southwestern Indiana murders from the past week are reaching their conclusions. In Greene County, charges have been filed against 35-year-old Jason Lee Caldwell in connection with last weekend's murder of 54-year-old David Lamb of Salisbury. Caldwell is facing 9 felony counts in all and could receive up to 200 years in prison if convicted on all counts. In addition to the murder, police found that Caldwell raped a woman at Lamb's residence after the murder occurred. 2 of the 9 felony counts he faces are for rape with a deadly weapon. Caldwell also stole credit cards, weapons, prescription drugs, and a 2008 Jeep Commander from Lamb's residence. Now, 41-year-old Kevin Caldwell was also arrested in connection with this case, but he does not face any charges at this point. Meanwhile, police have released the autopsy results for 2 men who perished in a murder-suicide in Knox County early Wednesday morning. 33-year-old Paul Ryan Russell of Bruceville died of a single gunshot wound to the chest, while 48-year-old Todd Godare of Bicknell died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The dispute began in the 700 block of Durbin Street in Bicknell. Godare shot and killed Russell using a .22 caliber handgun. He later led Vincennes police on a short chase before taking his own life with the same gun. All right, coming up after the break, Laura Limp and Morgan Small join me to wrap up our 3-part conversation about the American Red Cross, plus your local forecast, sports with Bill Potter, and Inform with Patty Ozer and Jamie Horton. That's all up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.